Hey guys, Orange Samurai here. As you might have seen by all my posts on Facebook, X, and Instagram, I managed to win my LGS's store regional at Cool Stuff Maitland in Maitland, Florida. It was a 32-person event with 5 rounds where I played a variety of decks and I won playing my one of my favorite cards, Kalgara. So I'm gonna run you through the deck profile. Before I get started with the deck profile, I do want to go out and say that I am running a small giveaway for this Dueling Guard Nami binder. All you have to do is post in the comments who your favorite Straw Hat is, and you'll be entered in a lottery for a chance to win this. I will be running participation from starting today when this video drops until next Sunday. So good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys. So first and foremost, obviously, we have our fearless leader, Kalgara, who is one of the most aggressive leaders in the game right now. Its ability to bring out a character every turn at the cost of your own life is really powerful. Also, to boot, it is a 5 life leader, mono yellow, so that's more opportunities to use that. Something that not a lot of leaders have nowadays because they're dual color. Then we're gonna play our 4 prototypical Shura. Mostly, I play the Shura because I want to draw into cards. I want to be able to potentially cheat out a character by playing him from life on trigger, seeing an event, seeing a 2K, seeing or Holy or Kalgara that I didn't before. So cycling or I don't know, going through your deck faster is good in this deck. Next, originally Gembu, I had a 4 because I've seen builds that I wanted to play him immediately. And seeing him immediately can be really good to play him on the turn 2 to attack. It can be really devastating to go, oh, I'm going to go 8 and I'm going to play him too. So it's a big value on that. However, I did change the ratios. I am now playing him at 3, mostly because I cut him for other cards. Then Holy is going to be a 4 of. I want to see him. I want to see him on the search. I want to see him on the upper yard search. So I want to see him as much as possible, as early as possible. So that's why I play the 4. Ohm, this is where it deviates a little bit. I am playing only 3 ohms. And that is because in the way that I envision it, I already have upper yard, Shura. So I have a high chance of seeing him from opening hand, from mulligan, going into, or my searchers, right? So I think 3 suffices because most importantly, you want to pop off with the Holy. So seeing 3 should be serviceable enough, I think. And it paid off, in my opinion, for the cards that I saw this evening. Next, I have 4 2K wipers, and I didn't get to use the effect to do the on-play in this tournament. I did do that in the core TCG online regional that I played at, but not in this event. I played against a lot of black decks, so I didn't get a chance to play them, unfortunately. Mostly conserved them for 2K and save myself. Satori, this one's going to be a 2K counter, and if the opportunity arises, it can be a trigger body. And that trigger body can be an extra swing that you didn't have before, and it could be, either a game-winning or game-losing situation rather. And this won me a game where I did see him on life, and I swung with him, and that's why I won. Next, we're going to have 4 Nolan, and this one's a little bit trickier because he is not searchable by anything. He's Gaia and Botanist, so unfortunately, you have to draw into him. So I always wanted to see him on the mulligan because I will eventually have to see him, and I would only have 2 or 3 turns to see him in my hand until the timing passes, and by then he's worthless, I think, because once you get to past the 6 dawn turn, you're not as likely to want to play him because you do want to start going for it at the 7, 8, 9 dawn turn. So he is mostly good if you pop off with the Kalgara on the 6 dawn play. Next, I have Big Wiper, as I like to call him, and he is really good. Originally, when I first started playing this deck at Cardfest, thanks to my friend Code Redacted, he gave me his Silomius deck, and I played it. But the strategy he taught me was to play it, to go second, and see Shura Holy. I wasn't playing as often because of that mentality, but then after seeing some deck lists, I did change it up, where I want to go first the majority of time, because then I can go upper yard, turn 1, turn 2, Shura, and play, turn 3, he's my 5. So it's really strong, and also the fact I didn't see it this weekend, but at the core TCG regional, I did see a Reiju, and this can bottom deck a stage, so that's really strong. And I think my favorite card in this deck, even though it's Nazca Island, is gonna be Ace. Ace was my game winner in almost all of my games because of the fact that he is a rusher with five, and I was able to steal games because nobody expected him. Nobody prepared to see an ace at the end because a 7K swing is big against decks that have very low counter. And for Kalgara is going to be, I think, a must. You have to have for Kalgara because you want to draw into him. It is a counter. It is a big body. But a lot of the times, he didn't quite stay on the board. He only did a couple of times, I think, against my BY matchup. So, yeah, it still works out when he stays, so it's worth it. Otherwise, you always should try and have it at least one in hand because you never know. Then this is where it gets a little bit techie because originally, as you might have seen in my core TCG list, I did play Amaru because I like the idea of Amaru. I like the resting. I like the healing from Trigger. But I ended up changing it because Zoro was a thing and the ability to be a Whitebeard like leader was really appealing. So I made it to have Blade Slice and I took out cards to make it a 2-4. So in this 2-4, basically, you will make your leader a 6K leader to defend for a longer period of time, or in the aggression, go ahead and on your main, you're gonna rest the 4-drop and then go in, which I did do it in two of my games, one against Lucci and one against Starter Deck 14 Luffy, where I rested the Rebecca and I went for it with the ace. Then I have 3 Altor. And this is going to be the biggest difference with my build from last time. I was a big Eldor fan back at the beginning days of NL, and then I completely stopped playing it for more aggro. But after seeing some variants do better, and after having seen challenges against Black Yellow Luffy, where I felt like if I had enough counter, I could survive a full power Black Yellow Luffy swing. And after losing against Black Yellow Luffy on my second last round in that Ryuno, I said to myself, yeah, this is going to be useful here. So I changed up cards, changed the ratios, and I added 3 of these because that 4K, basically you are playing your Rat Beam. You have your Rat Beam and you have your guard point here with the Earth Will Not Lose. And basically, these 6 cards are the ultimate defense for Kalgara because you're going to 9, you're going to 8, you're playing the stage, and it's also going to be a cyclone to get another card in your hand, so that's really strong. And yeah, ultimately, I did see more of these than those, but when I had it, one of my defining rounds was when I played against BY round 2. I said, oh, crap, I'm screwed. And what happens is that I ended up having 4 events in hand, and I played him off to survive 2 gigantic swings. And because of that, he used all his resources to do that. I ended up winning on the crackback. Lastly, I'm going to have 4 upper yards, and you got to have this. This the universal searcher for the deck. This gets you everything. This can play off the Wiper and also the Earth Will Not Lose. So you got to have this at 4 no matter what. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Altard from PRB1. So for round 1, I ended up playing against NNL, and I was totally unprepared to see NL, especially for the fact that NL does get hard countered by Nami, and a lot of people have fear in the fact that I will see it, and that it is almost an auto loss, especially coming from someone myself that's actually played NL, and I played him at the LCQ, and I saw 3 Nami, which destroyed me in the tournament, right? So I only knew of how to play it, and I knew I got new cards like the Nami, right? Other than that, the only thing I could hope for was to just swing, time it right to get my board set up, which I did. I played everything I could, as many bodies as I could, and kept swinging out to whittle his hand. And after he started not seeing big bodies, the biggest body he saw, I believe, was Katakuri, and he put back my Kalgara, but I still persevered, and I played off in my Ohm, played off my Gembu, kept swinging, and that was enough to get over his heal and 0-drop and blocker Shirahoshi. Round 2, my heart sank because I saw Black Yellow Luffy, and I thought to myself, I'm boned because this is a really unfavorable matchup. I didn't know what to expect because sometimes I see the nuts right away, sometimes they don't, sometimes they break. This was more in the middle matchup for me this time around because he didn't immediately go with the fist Luffy. He didn't turbo into zero alive per se, you could say. So I saw my Gembu and I went to swing immediately. Start swinging, and he got to zero down rather fast. Then on his last turn, before he got to zero, he did play a Sabo for protection, and I already had big bodies at that point in time. And slowly he kept chipping at them. It came to a point where he had, I want to say, over 9 cards or so in his hand, and I had a 2 characters, Ashura and something else, and I had, I want to say, 7 done because I was thinking, do I want to go all in with a 12 because he was at 5, he wasn't boosted yet. So, do I want to go with a 12? And my alternative was to swing normally, play Kalgara, set up because I had defense. I had 2 or 3 events at that point, so I was pretty good on defense. So instead, you know what? I just went for it. I put all my Dawn into Kalgara. I swung for 12, and I chopped his entire hand for him to survive on 13 counter. So that was massive. And at point in time, I did feel remorseful on the fact that, man, I could have had my characters and set up another body for a bigger swing because once Luffy gets to 9, it's going to be really, really hard. And it was. However, the fact that he chopped his entire hand to survive that swing because he wasn't boosted at the time was massive because then I started putting up more bodies that will match his 9, and because he had no cards in hand, he was able to just block, counter a 1 card, block, counter a 1 card, and he went all in to my Kalgara. So thankfully, I had remembered a conversation I had with my friend Ricky in the prior round about how Kalgara could play like Whitebeard to go to 0 and just defend, and I was like, this does make sense, and that is one of the reasons why I added the outdoor, thanks to Jellybean's post on Twitter that he said, oh, you should play like Whitebeard. Personally, I don't know how I feel about going to 0 every time, but in a case by case, for sure, which this was it. I had 2 outdoor, I had 2 0 drop, I had 1 blaze, and 3 2Ks. I was cruising, I had more than enough. He goes 15, I counter. And then I did what I couldn't do last turn because I went all in. I played my leader effect, Kalgara, played the ace, whatnot, whatever, and then I set to guard. So then his turn comes up, and unfortunately, he had misplayed. He had misunderstood or misread or had a confusion regarding the cost requirement to KO with Rocket Luffy, so he couldn't KO my ace. Then he hit my last life, and it was a Satori, and I went all in with Satori, Kalgara, the ace, and that was it. So that was a huge relief because it was one of my toughest matchups, and I said to myself, what's the worst that can happen? I just beat up Black Yellow Luffy. What's next? Well, you see, next I played my friend Peter from who has, well, he was in the top from the last Cool Stuff South Orlando store regional with Lucci. So he is a very good player, and Lucci is a more straightforward deck than BY because BY you have all these variables. With Lucci, it's like, well, they're gonna have all these breaks. They're gonna do a Lucci play. They're gonna play Jack or Ice Age to just force out Kalgara, which it did. Essentially, the biggest takeaway from that match was that I went face every single time. He actually guarded super early on, and I was already getting to my end game, and he still had 4 life. So that was very discouraging because ideally I do want to have him as low as possible by the time he gets to 8 so that Moria is not safe. And unfortunately it didn't happen, but when he got to the end of it, he finally started taking that life. When he finally started taking that life, he went for the Gecko play, brought out the Rebecca, and that's where I thought, okay, I think I won because I had a Blaze Slice in hand, and the Blaze Slice is what rested the Rebecca. I went in with everybody, played my who's who'd my Shura, if I recall correctly, and that's what gave me the clear mind to go, all right, well, I have no other place. I have 7 done. I'm playing ace, swung for 9, and that was game. Round 4, I played against my friend Peter. I thought he was playing BY. I misheard him. He was playing starter deck 14 Luffy. And that is a very tough matchup in the fact that if he pops off and he gets the Whitebeard math with the Jack being 11 or whatever else he plays, and man, he played Laboon off rip, and I was very hesitant on KOing it because, man, do I want to go face? Do I want to, it was like a dilemma, right? So eventually came to a point where like I'm not going to accomplish anything by going face. I went 7 into the Laboon because he was already at 6. And after that, I just kept going face. Then it came to the same scenario as last round where he had a 6K leader. He had a Rebecca that he had played, and I had Blaze Slice, and I had Ace. And I could have done the math better to do 8-9 for what I've been told, as what my friend saw, but I went smaller and I split all my attacks to eventually finish with Ace, and he did not have the counter to save himself from Ace. Then lastly, for the fifth and final round, I got paired up against my friend Ricky, who was playing Long Lace Yamato from the Top Cut Events online regional this weekend. Because he already had his invite to Orlando from a past tour regional, he decided to concede to me, giving me the win. So yeah, that's going to be my tournament report / deck profile for my Kalgara deck list that I top with at Cool Stuff Mainland. It was a really rough tournament because I played against some really strong decks, maybe not the most favorable matchups, and against some really good players as well. And it was, I had, my chest was pounding the entire time, not knowing if I was going to make it to the next turn. And thankfully, I believed in the heart of the cards, and I just put them on Gotta Have It, and they didn't have it. And that's all she wrote, So I do want to go out and say, a few shout outs for this. My friend Night J from the Cross Court, because he is my other Kalgara enthusiast who always shared deck lists for me and put me on what to play. I don't know him personally. I met him, I believe, at Cardfest in Japan last time, Jelly Beans. He said on his Twitter that he believes he should play Kalgara like Whitebeard. So to go to 0, play out your characters, and defend. I don't think I ever got to play out the effect while on 0, but playing it like Whitebeard did make sense when Ricky reminded me to play like Whitebeard against Black Yellow Luffy, because I had just enough counter to survive 2 gigantic swings, which I did, and that is literally what saved me from losing to this gigantic beater that is BY Luffy. Then also, I want to give a huge thanks to Ricky for helping me get the win on the last round, helping me get my invite. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate you. And thank you for being a fellow One Piece fan. Lastly, I do want to go out and say that I'm thankful that I finally got to have a win while wearing the Gamers R Us jersey. I do dedicate this win to my friend Eric, who passed away over a week ago. He had a celebration of life yesterday, and it was very telling that he was very beloved in the community. His family, his friends, the storygoers at Gamers R Us. He was loved by everybody, most importantly from the Dragon Ball community, because he was big in there. I only got to know him for a brief 2 years, but hearing the stories, seeing how people were with him and how he was with people was very telling of his character and how good a person he was. So he'll be greatly missed. If anyone wants to help, his family does have a GoFundMe. I am going to have the link in the description. And if you're not able to donate, I would greatly appreciate it if you were to share the link on your socials. Every little bit helps. So thank you guys for watching. And I do want to say thank you, everybody who reached out to me and gave all these positive comments and have supported me all this time. I'm really appreciative of all the support and love I've gotten tonight after announcing that I got, the win in that event. And I want to keep doing what I can to support this community and be a big part of it, because you guys are my life. This game is my life, and I love it. I would do anything for this game. So I'm really thankful to have you guys around. So with that, again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to go ahead and roast me on my deck, please do send the comments, and I'll see you at the next event.